Hi everyone, my name is Natalie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, as you might have seen in the title of the video, I am going to be talking about mental health. Just recently I learned from a friend that Mental Health Awareness Month takes place in the month of May, which we are in, and it is used to promote a healthy state of mind and being, as well as to encourage and bring awareness to those who are dealing with mental disorders or any issues related to mental health and how to really cope with it. So I thought I would use this video to share with you guys my own mental health journey, but also primarily to encourage you guys to speak up about any issues you might be having. It makes a really big difference to speak up about your problems rather to keep them inside of you and try to deal with them yourself. I'm not telling you to do it as publicly as I am doing, but I want you guys to speak up about your problems with maybe someone who loves and cares about you, whether it's a family member, a friend, or your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's important to speak up about your problems because it makes it real and it makes it manageable. And someone might be going through the same thing as you, and you can go through it together or seek help. I think everyone deals with mental issues. You don't have to be specifically diagnosed with something. I'm not specifically diagnosed with any mental disorders as I know of. But yeah, I think everyone goes through it. It's just part of being human, and it's important to speak up about issues like this. So yeah, I'm gonna just jump right into my story. Hopefully you guys find it relatable, and it's not like as drastic or dramatic as maybe other people who are dealing with more serious issues, but it really has affected my life and the way I deal with things, and it's just made me who I am today. So I want to share it. So, in terms of my family, I love my family very much, and I'm a very family oriented person, but a lot of the times the issues arise through them for me specifically. I am the oldest of four kids, and I live with very strict Catholic Hispanic parents, and I still do to this day, which has affected me a lot. And not bashing the religion, I am a very strong Catholic. I consider myself to be strong in my religion, and I respect it. I was a teenager with a low self esteem because I grew up in a household where there were stronger personalities. I was pretty soft spoken. I was trying to be as obedient as possible. I was trying to be a good kid and meet the expectations that my parents had for me. In comparison to my siblings, I was not the most rebellious teenager. My rebellious stage happened when I got out of high school, but pretty much I was really soft spoken, and I wouldn't stick up for what I believed in. I wouldn't stick up for myself, and a lot of times my siblings, as all siblings do, would make fun of me, and they would call me weak. They would say I have no backbone because I get pushed around, and that definitely started to impact the way I viewed myself and made me close up more, since I wasn't already as spoken as they wanted me to be. And my parents would actually do the same, which was crazy because I think, I love my family, and family is those who are closest to you. They're very influential. And the fact that they were the ones who were kind of bringing me down rather than building me up was insane, especially back then. Because right now, after everything I've gone through, I'm starting to really have a say and know who I am and have a voice. But yeah, as a teenager, I dealt with that a lot. I used to deal with any personal problems that I had. I would just keep it to myself because I didn't want to get yelled at, and I didn't want to be seen as this weak kid. I do struggle with some issues still in terms of my strict parents. As some of you may know and know my family, I have very strict parents who like everything to go their way. I think fashion is self expression. That's why I love it. That's why I want to work in it. I want to make a difference, and I want to make people feel like they can express themselves through what they wear. And growing up, I, as a teenager, started to find my way in terms of fashion. But there were certain things I want to wear. I want to wear leggings. I want to wear skirts. I want to wear shorts. And the thing is, I don't have a problem with, I don't think it's a problem that your dad or your parent cares that you are wearing something that probably might make others take it the wrong way or anything. I respect that. That's coming from a parent's point of view, and parents do things because they love you and they respect you and they want the best for you. And I totally get that. But my dad doesn't have the best way about communicating the message, and so typically he gets really frustrated when I am wearing something that I want to wear, something that makes me feel beautiful, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, who is she? Because you look good, girl. And then once I step out of my room, my energy changes completely because I'm getting yelled at. It's a constant battle in terms of figuring out a meeting point. If he like pulled me to the side and told me, calmly, I think you should change your clothes. I think it's just a suggestion from me. I think you should wear something else. That's fine. But he takes it in a completely different way. I'm used to it. It does hurt my self-esteem though, because you think you look pretty and then you get bashed for it. So, and I don't want to make this video seem like I'm complaining. That's not it. It's just part of the issues that go on in my head. Kind of getting into relationships, in terms of love relationships. My family does have an impact on that. My family is pretty traditional. And so, yeah, I have to deal with a lot of that. At one point in my college years, I said, I'm not dating anyone until I move out of my house, until I'm far away from my parents, because not only have they impacted my romantic relationships, or all of our romantic relationships, because we've all been in relationships, but they've also impacted our friendships, because people now view us a certain way because we're not always allowed to do what they're doing, or we're like, oh no, we can't hang out with you because this and this and that, and always putting excuses. So it's really hard because we're not showing our true selves sometimes to those outside relationships that we want to build, and it's really impactful on ourselves socially and mentally, because we're like, why don't people want to be with us? Why don't people want to hang out with us? Yeah, that can really get to a person. But in terms of romantic relationships, the relationship I am in now with my boyfriend, I think it's the most serious relationship I've had. And for us to be where we are today, it was a roller coaster. It was a big impact on my mental health, specifically because of my old relationship that I had. But I'm gonna give you guys a quick summary of what happened. Pretty much, we were in a relationship for 6 months. We had titles, boyfriend, girlfriend, the whole thing. He had met my parents, I had met his parents. We've hung out with each other's families. and with each other. And one day he just disappears. Like, he just doesn't answer my text, he doesn't answer my calls, and that's it. And so, right there, that's an abandonment issue that I had to deal with mentally, because I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? Is it me? Is it you that you don't want this anymore? Is it my family? Is it the conditions I'm in? Like, what is it? And so that broke me down. And not only did that break me down, but it affected my home life in terms of my parents and how they felt disappointed in me. And so I got broken down even more. And they would just yell at me and, take it out on me, because technically it was my fault, because I was in control of it. No one else, just me and him. And it didn't end the best way that it could. And so they were really upset with me, and it really broke my relationship with my parents for a while, and I had to build their trust back up. And then it impacted the relationship I'm in now. We weren't on the right timeline together until now. And when I had ended that relationship, we were kind of getting together, and then something happened and everything went downhill, and then it wasn't perfect timing for us again. And the fact that this guy that I've always had my eyes on, he didn't want me. One second he wanted me, and the next he didn't anymore. And I think that's the thing that broke me down the most. And it really took me to a really dark place where I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to just be in bed for like 4 months. I didn't want to eat. I didn't really want to communicate with anyone. And my family knew what I was going through, and they wanted to get involved and, speak to me and have me speak out loud about it, which was my mistake that I didn't. I wouldn't say it was depression, but it was kind of depression. And I just felt bad about myself. I feel like I had suicidal thoughts, but within the Catholic religion, suicide is a sin. So I knew I wouldn't kill myself. I just felt so low and I hated myself. A lot of my friends were there for me. My family started being there for me, and I just started speaking up about it. And I was able to build myself up. But really, that was back in 2017. That was the worst year of my life so far, so far. And I actually read a book, and I can't remember who it's by, but it's on my Instagram. Connor Fronta. Reading that book really built me up and was like kind of inspiration for me. And I was like, you know what? I am not perfect, but that's what makes me human, and that's what makes me perfect in my own way. Luckily, your girl is where she is today, in a happy relationship. I guess now quarantine. Quarantine has messed me up. I could be pretty hard on myself when it comes to just being successful. And so I like to be productive. I like to be kind of a source of inspiration to keep the work and keep going. And in terms of quarantine right now, that is kind of a struggle because there are no jobs. I just graduated from my master's and I'm at home trying to make money, and it's hard. It's hard because I'm going back into that mentality. Well, am I not good enough? Am I not gonna make it? Am I gonna be lazy forever because of quarantine now? It's just a lot of questions and overthinking. That's another thing I didn't mention. I overthink a lot, guys. It's been a curse being an overthinker. But that's a whole other situation. But yeah, I'm kind of dealing with that right now during quarantine, just trying to stay positive that, this is part of my journey. this is meant to happen for me to be where I need to be in the future. Perfection takes time. Great things take time. Another big issue that I'm dealing with is family again. It's a struggle for the entire house mentally. My grandma is showing early signs of dementia. Our days have become just like reoccurring events. It's just constantly reminding her of what has already happened in life and really learning how to handle the whole situation. And so, as a family, it has affected us mentally, each and every one of us differently, because of how close we are to her. And sometimes seeing her forget stuff is kind of painful, because you put in so many memories and so much time into this person who at the end of the day probably will forget. In terms of coping with all the issues I've had and trying to stay as positive as possible as just myself, but also being a positive force in other people's lives. From a very young age, I started having a diary. I started having a diary slash journal, whatever you want to call it. I don't know about you, but that's the best thing ever, because when you're so low or confused and you just don't want to cry about it, I just write. Keeping a journal helps me also to look back at issues I had as a kid or as a teenager or as whoever, and look back at it and see how I handled the situation and if I turned out okay. And that I definitely do recommend. It's just another way of making your issues a reality. So yeah, having a journal is great, and writing about your problems is great. I would say speaking up has also been a really big part of the ways I cope with my mental health, whether it's to people I trust, like my mom, or my friends, or my boyfriend. So speaking up to them has been amazing and really helpful. I wish I had a therapist. I think having a therapist, yeah, I would love that. I would love to have a therapist, but right now, my family and my friends and my boyfriend are my therapists, so they don't have specifically the psychology degree to it, but you know, they do the best they can, and they do a lot to make me feel better. And then I think another way of coping with my issues is reading books about mental health or other people's stories in terms of it and how they built themselves up or have dealt with specific things helps you to feel like your issues are relatable and helps you see that there is a way to get out of those issues based on other people's stories. In terms of right now in quarantine, coping with my issues involves just trying to stay busy, having constant communication with my boyfriend, with my friends, with my family, and trying to just keep pushing through. People are facing mental issues, whether it's like depression or you feel lonely because maybe you're not quarantining with someone, maybe you're all by yourself, maybe you're sad that you can't go outside and do what you love to do. And yeah, this video has been a lot and it's very long, and I'm sorry guys that it's so long, but hopefully you got a little taste of where I come from and what I've been through and what has made me me. And you can relate to what I've been through and can seek some sort of solution or inspiration from this. And because of this whole coronavirus situation, there are a lot of free services coming up in terms of mental health that companies are putting out there. There are still ways of reaching help virtually. So there's always those solutions if you don't seem to find any solutions in the ways that I've mentioned. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys really soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the bell icon to get notified every time that I post a video. Hope to see you guys really soon.